All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our social media training. Christy and I are so excited to share with you guys some strategies on what's working really well when it comes to social media. And the thing that I just love that I was about to say before I hit record was that when you are really busy or when you're in a season of, you know that day you're going to be gone, spending 5 or 10 minutes on social media strategically can really help you move your business forward. So we're going to be sharing what are the best strategies now, what's working well now, how to connect with new people, how to get new customers, how to get new distributors, how to find what works best for what to post for you, reels, all of that kind of stuff. And then at the end, we will have a Q&A section. So feel free to, put any comments or questions in the chat box, and then we can answer those at the very end. Also, we have a new product that's launching very soon here. And every time we have a new launch, there's some really effective ways on how to launch well, and also how to get new. What I love about a new launch is that it always helps you get new customers and new teammates with our new collagen that's coming out, which I'm already getting lots of interest for, and it's going to be a great thing when we have that. So we will share that as well. Okay, so when it comes to social media, the thing that I think is really important is learning to connect with your audience. And so when we do a post, or when you do a post, trying to find ways where you end with a question. Hey, Christy. Hi. I was just
Hey, I'm sorry. I had workers just show up at my house.
Oh, no problem. I was just starting to share about connecting and finding ways to get new interest on social. So when you guys go to do a post, for example, I was starting to share about the collagen. I asked a question at the end to get people to comment. People, remember, the goal of social media is to interact. And so if you ask a question, that always increases your engagement. And one of the things we always try to do in our community, in our team community, is, when you see someone else posting, helping their algorithm. So trying to take 2 minutes out of your time to comment on their posts, so that, it helps get more interest on those things. Christy's really, really good at this. So Christy, I don't know if you want to share some of your tips on some of the posts that you do that I know always you get like 90 comments sometimes. Like, share with us like what some of those are that you do.
Well, I try to always make it something relatable to what I'm doing with my business in some way. Like last night I was talking about like which 2 cabinets in your house are the messiest. And I had recently just cleaned out my entire house because it's going on the market. And so my post today, I'm going to talk more about kind of like how I'm going to organize like my cleaning cabinet. Like I'm leading into cleaning products. And so that's why I was asking about the messiest cabinets. And I'm also going to talk about how we're going to share like how to keep your cleaning products organized in our group, because we can show like our cool cleaning caddy that you have and how you only need like these few products and then that's all you need. I think that most people's cleaning cabinets are such a junky mess because you feel like you need like 25 different things when actually you only need a few. So that's why I posted that one comment last night, or that one question. Some of the other questions I ask are completely just for fun. And I always try to relate it to something I'm curious about. That's really like authentically something that's my personality, or something fun. Like sometimes I'll ask something like, show me a picture of your dog or something like that, which anybody that follows me knows I have 2 dogs that I love to death. Um, so it would be weird if like I didn't have dogs and I was like, show me a picture of your dog. Um, or something like that. So I always try to keep it related to something I'm interested in. So it doesn't seem like really far out of left field. Um, so those are the kind of posts that I make so I can connect with people that way. And a lot of times people will post their cat picture on that too, and that's totally fine. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, how funny, and I'll talk about their cat. But I think that when I'm posting engagement posts, I always really like, a lot of times when I have a good idea about an engagement post, it'll come to me like in the middle of the day, and I'll make like a quick note in my phone, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great one.
Mhm.
Or something like that. Is that what you do, Katie? Like when you have like a good idea about something to post about?
Yes, I do. And that's what helps because we've all probably been in a position before where we're like, I don't know what to post. So as you guys think of ideas, I'm the same way. I try and jot them down either in a notebook or in my notes section so that, when I do have time to post something, I have something to pull it from. And I also find like, we're all very busy. So if there's times when maybe your hair's done or maybe you did your makeup and showered for the day, take a couple pictures then. That's batching your work and that's learning to work smart and strategically. And so I think that that's really smart too, so that you constantly have things to pull from throughout the week, because that consistency is really important on social media, because so many people aren't on, or if you post in the morning, they might not see it because maybe they're at work. And so that's why, consistently sharing about what we have to offer is really helpful. Also, Christy, I would love to hear. So once you do that post, for example, about the organizing of your home, can you walk us through then? So somebody comments on that post, then what's your next steps to engaging them and getting them into our green cleaner group? I would love to hear like your process after they comment on your post. Then what do you do?
Well, some of them are just posting like, oh, I'm trying to, I don't know, something like trying to get my kid's closet cleaned or something like that. Anybody that's posting about literally about getting a kitchen cabinet clean or something like that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm talking about that this week in my group or something like that. And I also snuck in there that I'm talking about that I'm moving in that post too. So I'm trying to get double engagement from that one post. So people are asking me, where are you moving? What are you doing? That kind of thing. So I'm getting a lot of responses from that too. And a lot of times what I do on something like that, where I kind of drop something in there that's kind of exciting, where a lot of people are interested, is I kind of let the post ride. And when I say that, I mean like I don't answer right away. Like I might respond to the cabinet answers, like I might answer about that, but I'm not I didn't respond right away about where I'm moving, because what's happening is everybody's like, where are you moving? What are you doing? What's happening? And of course I will respond, but what it's doing is it's collecting a lot of comments, and then I'm getting more and more people interested in what I'm talking about, which it was about the cabinets. And what I did was I was saying I was getting them all cleaned out because I was moving. So that's how I connected the two. And so what I'm doing is, if they're like, oh gosh, I have such a hard time staying organized, or I just can't seem to keep my cabinets organized, then I'll send them a private message and I'll say, I will respond to their comment, but I'll send them a private message and I'll say, hey, I'm actually hosting a group this week and we're talking about living like a cleaner life. But I feel like a lot of times when you're trying to live like a cleaner, greener life, a lot of it comes with being more organized and cleaning out the junk. And so that's one thing we're going to talk about. Would you like to join the group? And 99% of the time, if they reply, they'll say yes. Of course, you get ghosted or they won't read their message or whatever. But most of the time, people will say yes because you're offering them something free and it's of value. So that's how I try to always like connect my posts with something we're doing, but not always like such a direct like invite or sale or something like that. I feel like that works really well.
Yes, and I feel like you're really good with figuring out the questions to ask to be able to connect. Even just like last week, I asked a simple question on where dinner places to go for date night, and I was just amazed at how many people. Not only did I see that night that were like, "Hey, where did you pick?" They're watching your post, but also then asked like they were just so curious, like, "Where did you guys end up going?" And of course, like that has nothing to do with Shackley, but it's just a simple way where you reconnect with people, where you start having those conversations again. I know for me, one of the things that always tends to get a lot of new interaction and interaction from many people is whenever I share a recipe, I try and not share the recipe right away because I want to see who wants the recipe. So for example, in my stories yesterday, I talked about this. It's berry season right now, right? Like strawberries, blueberries, they're all in season. They all taste great right now. So I made this gluten-free berry crisp that tasted amazing. And I asked who wanted the recipe. And now I have a bunch of people who want the recipe. And how this works really well is in this case, I didn't use the life shake, but I typically do a recipe that uses the life shake. And then what I'm able to do is I send them the recipe and then I ask them, would you like a sample of our life shake to use with that? And they will most of the time say yes. Then I get them a sample, and then oftentimes they can become a member, which is awesome. And that's such a simple way where we're not like, hey, who wants to buy or who wants to, you were selling, but instead we're adding value of how the life shake can be used in a variety of ways, not just in a smoothie, but to bake or oatmeal or, chia, however you want to make it. I'm constantly showing that. I made these like real on fudgesicles using Shackley's recipe with the chocolate protein. It tasted really, really good, by the way. And I made that into a reel. So Christy's like, she's identified what her, we call them, what is it called? Like the top 5 things that you're passionate about. So Christy, it's like, it's very clear. It's family, it's her dogs, it's, she loves going to the beach. For me, I love the baking. Baking is a big, like finding healthier treats. So people know me for that. And so then I become the go-to person for healthier recipes, which makes it really easy then when I start sharing my story to be able to convert those people into a prove it challenge by sharing some of those things. So figuring out like what are those 5 things you're passionate about. Maybe it's teaching, maybe it's homeschooling, maybe it's you're a sports mom, and so you're really passionate about baseball, you're a baseball mom, whatever that is. Identify what those are, and then you'll always have content to pull from, but also it helps you connect with different people. Christy can connect with other people who are in a season where they have cheer girls or that have dogs. And so those are simple ways to also figure out how to connect with people, which I think is really important. I know, Christy, one of the other things that's been working really well for you is stories. So I would love to hear from you how you're using stories, what you're doing on stories. What I love is that your stories are great. And every time I'm talking to you, you're like, oh yeah, I have this new person interested in this new person. And so stories is where it's at. And if you're not utilizing stories, we really encourage you to, because it's really like a peek behind the curtains of your everyday life. People like to see real, raw, like what's going on in Christy's life, what's going on in Jen's life, what's going on in Cassie's life. And so that allows them to do that in stories. And I'll give you a tip with stories. You don't have to always make things live. If you are going to the zoo with your family, take a bunch of pictures and then later on at night, post them into your stories. People never, they don't need to be live. And so that's an easy way to batch things too. I do that very frequently, to batch content. So as you're taking pictures throughout the day, then you can post them as you're able to. So Christy, I would love to hear from you, your story tips.
Yeah, I do what you're talking about most of the time. Like, I will batch stories together because I personally have a really hard time being live all day, like taking pictures, posting them on stories, that kind of thing. So I do the same thing you do, is I will kind of like take a bunch of pictures. And then what I will do is I will post them in batches. So usually before I go to bed, I will post like maybe like 5 to 10 pictures at one time, maybe from that day, or maybe about an event coming up or something like that. And then maybe the next morning I'll post more or something like that. But I rarely like post stories all day long because it makes me, honestly, it makes me feel like I'm always working if I'm always posting stories. And it works for some people and it's amazing. But for me, I like to batch them exactly like you were talking about. And so one thing that I do that really works is I ask people about the business, like, hey, does this look fun? Or hey, do you want more information on this? All the time. Usually almost every day I have a poll or a question I'm asking. So I get lots of engagement that way and lots of people to talk to. I usually get most of my potential distributors through my stories. And I think the reason why is when you make a post on Facebook and you're like, hey, talking about the opportunity, everyone can see if that person commented, right? And in your stories, it's private. Like nobody knows that that person commented except for you, the person that put the story up. So I feel like it's a more private way for people to respond. And so it's easier to just click that yes button. One other like thing that I do is I try to never have a no. So I either put yes or heck yes, or yes or oh yes, or something. Like I don't like the no button, or because I just feel like it's negative, right? Like we don't want to know if someone says no, they don't want to be a distributor, right? We don't care. So I try to keep it positive no matter what I'm asking, whether it's like, do you like this song? Or what, it doesn't matter what it is. I always have two positive answers. I eliminate the negative. Um, so that's another tip I have, and I really like to do that. But you guys, almost every day or every other day, I have a post about a product, and I make it fun. It's not like a stock image photo where I'm like, do you want to buy this? Yes or no. I try to make it fun. And I also try to, when I'm talking about the business, I try to, like, I'm at the beach a lot. So I'm like, I love being able to work from the beach. And I'll have pictures of my family, us doing puzzles, us like literally at the beach. And I'm drinking my peach tea and like things like that. And I'm like, I love this lifestyle of being able to work from anywhere. Would you be interested in doing this too? Anyway, so that's kind of how I try to do my opportunity posts. And you guys, let's face it, I'm not at the beach every day, and I can't say that every day, but I try to make my opportunity posts fun and not just like, like, do you work hard? Do you like to invite? I try to make them different. So what about you, Katie? Everybody, I've gotten messages before about your reels too. I just want to throw that in there before I forget. if you can give tips on reels
For
too.
sure.
I just wanted to say that before I forgot.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think you made a really good point about that you're constantly sharing the business almost daily. If we want to attract business partners, we have to be talking about it all the time. And it could be just a simple little picture of working poolside, working beachside that creates that curiosity. But I also think Instagram loves when you add on additional features like a poll, a slide bar, um, a multiple choice question. It also increases engagement. It's a great follow up tool. And I think what's so great about that is that it's really easy for people. Whenever we're doing things, we have to make it super simple for people. And if all they have to do is click a slide bar to show that they're interested, people will click the slide bar. Because I think people just need easy and fast, and Instagram likes it, so it'll get better interest for you. And so I'm always using one of those features in some way, shape, or form. I also screenshot when I get those answers, because that's the tricky part is if you do a poll, you got to screenshot who records those polls. Otherwise, you can go back and check them, but it's a little bit harder to find those. So I always just try and screenshot who wants, things. And then I have running lists of, okay, I got to send a recipe to this person, or this person commented on, they were giving me advice on, whatever this thing is, that you have those things. And I also think that with all of this, what Christy and I are really passionate about it showing you guys is that every time we're sharing Shackley in some way, shape, or form, and of course it doesn't have to always be Shackley, but when we're sharing the lifestyle, when we're sharing how we're using products throughout the day, it's showing our customers and our potential distributors that our store is open. We have to consider it this, like our store is open. If we had a local coffee house and they did nothing to advertise or to promote their business, people would wonder, are they still in business? And I have had people ask, is so-and-so still doing Shackley, when they no longer post or do anything with Shackley? And like Christy said, it doesn't mean that you have to be online all the time, but even just taking a couple minutes of your day to show a simple story can lead to a lot of really great things. So reels. So Instagram likes reels a lot too. And reels are a great way because they're like a 15 to 30-second like commercial or like video that you can do. And I love them because they can be really funny. I've made some more funny ones in the past. And a lot of these I get inspired by other people. So I don't even always come up with it. I just see what other people are doing and I recreate that. I have a really fun one I'm planning to do with the collagen soon. And so this is a great way to be sharing the business in a different way. I did one, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, where it was like to a funny hip hop song about how I don't like to work a 9 to 5. And I was able to share a part of the business that otherwise, if I were to just go on a video and say, I don't love working a 9 to 5, it wouldn't get as much interest. And so they're really easy to do. If you go to your stories, the next section is a reel. You can make them between 15 and 30 seconds. You can pick a song. You can get really fancy with them, but I would just encourage you, keep it to something super simple at the beginning. And then, work your way up to, some people do like crazy, speeding up and, those are a little bit more complicated. Also, I cannot dance for the life of me. And so reels is not all about dancing. It's just putting yourself out there in different ways and allowing people to connect with you. So I just encourage you to be inspired by other people. You're more than welcome to see what I've done and recreate something similar. I've spent a lot of time. There are also people who will train how to actually do a reel. I don't know if Christy, you want me to share that, but I also will tell you that the Prove It Challenge, one of the best reels I've ever done, is with the Prove It Challenge, where I shared my transformation, my before and afters, and I had some food clips and some workout clips that you just wouldn't have the same feeling if I just posted a before and after. I was able to show like 30 seconds of what the Prove It Challenge did for me. And it helped to get a lot of new people on the Prove It Challenge. So I encourage you start off with the business because that's the best thing that we have to offer, but it's also a simple way to share the products in a different way as well. Did you want me to share anything more with that, Christy?
No, I think that's great. One other tip I have that I love so much is that I have all of my stories that I post on Facebook automatically transferred into my Instagram stories. And so I don't have to go and post on both.
Yeah.
Like they're automatically transferred over. And so I don't have to do double the work. There it's like I'm doing both Instagram and Facebook at the same time. And so that if you're not doing that, that saves so much time, you guys, like so much time. And one other tip is that I think is super helpful, or I guess not helpful, well, maybe helpful, is I like to do a lot of recognition posts.
Mhm.
And what I do is I like to highlight people and then tag them so they can then share that in their story. And it'll pop up on their story, but people can tell that I wrote it. So it's not like they're bragging, and it's not like they just highlighted themselves. They can tell that I put it on my story and they were able to share it. So that's a good thing to do, even with like a friend at Shackley, or somebody that's on your team or your distributor or anything like that. So you can highlight people, and it's fun to put like good fun music behind it and things like that. So I do that a lot too, just as a tip for like celebrating other people. And to me, I like it. It's a double like bravo thing, because it makes your business look good, it makes their business look good, and it's fun. And people like to see like those things on social media, I think.
I know another thing that works well for us too is as leaders, as business leaders, whenever we share an inspirational quote. So I took a social media course recently, and one of the best tips I learned from them was that don't be afraid to share someone else's, like a picture that worked well for someone else. Of course, always give them the credit. Don't just copy and paste it exactly. But if it's like a quote from like John Maxwell, for example, that's getting tossed around, that's a little bit different. That an image like that inspires people, those always tend to work really well too. And so if you see something on Instagram that really resonated with a lot of people, don't be afraid to re-share that. Because oftentimes if it was liked by a lot of other people, it's going to be liked by a lot of people in your community as well. The other thing I do on social media, and I know Christy does this too, is having a customer group, having a support group for all of your people. And that is so important because we want all of our customers to have great follow-up customer care, to know what the specials are, to really highlight what the products are, to talk about new products coming out, to keep them updated. And so if you don't have one yet for your people, we just really encourage you to either plug into your uplines or one of ours, and to be doing that as well. We always encourage you to have those customer groups so that your people are seeing new information. And I think that that's a really simple way to go a little bit beyond what we might share on our personal walls onto our customer page. You can also repurpose things. Often what I share in stories, I'm also then gonna put in my customer group. And so again, this is just working smart and finding ways to educate. If I'm highlighting the organizational class tonight that Shackley's doing, I can post it in my customer group, and I can also post it on my stories. And then when people are commenting, I'm writing down who wants to be in those groups, which we have a lot of great groups coming up. We have that green group that we're kicking off, I think tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we have the organizational class that's tonight that Shackley is offering. We're going to do some great back to school stuff here coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. Those are also ways that we always encourage you to be putting those classes out there so that you can get new people. Christy did those awesome stories about the cleaners, and she took some of the slides from Shackley and she put them under her stories about why it's important to switch and ditch. And then at the end, she had a call to action of who wants to be in this event. So that's a great thing that she shared with everyone. That's another simple way to be promoting some of the educational events that we have.
And I wanted to say that those slides, they probably look like they took me a long time, but they really took me like 10 minutes to put together. And so anyways, one day I don't know if everybody knows how to use Canva, but that's like my go-to. And once you get used to doing that, it's so easy. That's why I always create stuff there and share it, because it really takes me like 10 minutes to put stuff together. I don't want you guys to think that I'm like fancy and know how to do all this fancy stuff, because I really don't. Another thing that I wanted to share is that, so I've been in this business for 7 years, and Katie, I think, has been in, I mean, when I say this business, I mean this industry. And I think Katie's been at Shackley for 9 years.
Mhm.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
So what's interesting about both of us is we're both like just average. I don't mean average, like putting us down, but we're both just typical moms that do this in the cracks of the day. And so we're both do this like in between running errands and like all this crazy stuff. And like, so maybe when we pull up in the Target shopping center, we'll have an idea and we're like, hold on, kids, let me post something real quick. And then we'll take like 2 minutes and make a post. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what we mean. Like we don't have like Katie and I are both kind of fly by the night people. So neither one of us have we're both have planners, but we're not like just super structured where we just have everything planned to a T and we just know exactly what we're going to do all the time. And we have like hours of time where we spend planning social media. So I just want you guys to know that like we've been kind of winging it for 7 and 9 years and it always works out. I think that the big key piece is to stay consistent, to take action, and to have a plan. When I say have a plan, I mean like Katie and I plan events and we're working towards those events always, right? And we're inviting towards those events, but we don't always have like our CEO hat on all day long, right? Like we're moms most of the time. And so I want you guys to know that if we can do it, you can do it.
Totally.
So I really wanted to make sure we covered that on this call. And so you guys know that like even in like your small time, like small little 5 minutes of time, even if you have to run in the bathroom with your phone and make posts, you can do it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think that's really important to understand, that no matter where you are, you can do this. And social media is easy and actually fun. I know a lot of people get scared by it, but Katie and I try to just make it fun. And like, if you see us, we often are like laughing and making fun of stuff like that we do or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's relatable. And
Yeah.
I personally don't have a very big following on Instagram, and you don't have to have a big following on Instagram. It really is how you got to ask yourself, how are your connections with people? And you might have really high engagement with a lower following, and that's actually better than having a massive following and having very low engagement. And I think right now people want real everyday life, like that I think that, we are able to share. And I know that other people have said what they appreciate about what I post is that I'm just real and authentic, like just the real me. And so sometimes it's scary to put ourselves out there. But the thing with social media that I always talk about is it goes to work for you while you're not even working. So when you go to do a post and then you go back to your life, it's working for you even when you're with the kids or even when you're at your job. It's creating new interests, it's creating new customers, it's creating new people to reach out to. And so really, I think if you don't have much time, you can be super strategic with social media, doing the right things. And that can really help you to grow a business as long as you're doing things that are, the income producing activities, the inviting, the following up, the connecting with people. And it's also going to be what will help you to never feel like you run out of people to talk to, which I think is really important, because we've all felt that way, right? Before, where we're like, I don't know who else will want to join me this month. Like, when you're constantly doing things that are creative, you'll never run out of people to talk to.
I 100% agree with that. And one other thing that I often think about is, okay, so you want people to like think when they're at their day job working and they're like, I really want to lose 10 pounds before my daughter's wedding. How can I do that? Well, Christy always talks about this wellness stuff. Let me go to her page. If you haven't had a call to action, like say each like 3 to 5 days, they might not be able to find somewhere where they can comment. So you have to think about that. So I often scroll through my own social media and evaluate myself. And I'm like, have I had a call to action about skincare or wellness products where someone could easily go to my page and comment and be like, oh, good, she has something coming up where I could join. I often think about that because I notice that a lot of people do go back to my last post about wellness and contact me that way. And they're like, yes, Christy, I need more information on this. And it might be like 5 to 7 days later. So it makes me think that they saw the post and then they hadn't had a free minute to comment.
Yeah.
So it's important that you have those call to actions, once or twice a week on your page. So people think of you as the wellness person in their life. So when they have a free moment, they're going to go back to you. Because if you don't, then they're just going to randomly scroll social media and look for something, but you want to be known as their wellness person. Yeah. So, or skincare person or whatever you want to, you want to be known as both essentially, but whatever you want to focus on.
And really, I think a lot of what we do is we educate. And if you're feeling like, well, I don't know what to educate on, I just encourage you to spend time in personal development, spend time reading books, because whenever we do those two things, I try and take notes, and then I have new content to share. So maybe you're going to teach on mindset. Maybe you're going to teach on gut health. My sister-in-law, Sarah, just did an awesome post on gut health. She talked about her struggle with it. She identified the problem. And then she got somebody brand new reaching out saying, hey, I have that same issue. Like, how can you help me? And so people will come to you. They will know you as that resource. So then when their kid is having some kind of health concern, they're going to go to you and figure out how to best help you. And we have so many resources you can tap into. We don't have to be the experts. You might not feel like, well, I'm not an expert on gut health, but we can become those as we learn more about them. And I also think that it's important to what I feel like your team does so well with too is just keeping it simple by focusing on the Meology Prove It Prove It Challenge, because I think that is such a great starter for many people. But don't be afraid to talk about other things, because it really all relates back to wellness. So now you can start talking about in your stories your cleaners and show some before and afters, and then getting people into our Get Clean or Go Green group. So that's where I also find finding new ways to talk about Shaklee that can be really helpful as well.
I agree, especially with so many people in MLMs related to wellness. Like if you can somehow talk about the cleaning products and get them in this cleaning product group or green living group that we're doing, this might open the door to them being interested in other products as well. So I think that's why this green living group is so important to get people into it. Personally, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, definitely. Christy, is there anything else that you want to talk about? I know we had a couple questions, so you guys feel free to, if you want to unmute or if you want to put it in the chat box. I know Ashley asked, do you recommend having a number of members before you start a customer group?
I don't think so. I mean, I personally feel like they don't have to be members. They can just be friends that are interested in wellness. I mean, to be honest, they don't have to be, in my opinion, they don't have to be paid customers. Is that how you feel, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everyone, really starts with just one, right? And I know I have some of my distributors that use my group, which is totally fine. Or, we're all about sharing stuff. So I know that a lot of people, if I post something, we'll share, or vice versa, we'll all share content. And so, if you do your own, you can always pull from our groups too, because I think that's what sometimes prevents people from doing their own, is they're worried about keeping up with it. But that's why I just encourage you to plug into other people's groups so that you can see what they're posting. And then, obviously when you're taking from someone else's group, we always encourage them, like, hey, make sure you comment on that and you like their posts, to kind of give them credit for their, for what they're posting. But we have so many resources to pull from, especially from the Shackley Share app, to make it super simple. But yes, even just starting with people, I mean, I have some in my group that aren't even yet members yet. So
Most of the people on our team, what they do is they do their launch party. And so they'll have like anywhere from 25 to 150 people in their launch group. And obviously not everyone purchases right then. And so after that's over, they turn that launch group into their like member group, or their VIP group, or their customer group, or whatever you want to call it. And some of them are customers and some of them are potential customers. So that's what they do. And a lot of those people come around in the next like 30 to 90 days and become customers. So you can do it either way. Like you can have just a member group, or you can have, it be like potential people too, whatever you feel comfortable with.
yes. One of the other tips just for social that sometimes that I have just found that works well for me is I actually won't post my link publicly, because if somebody's interested, I want to be able to get them information. And typically if somebody says like, hey, can you like tell me more about the Prove It challenge, I'm actually not just gonna send them my link right away. I'm gonna say like, hey, share, I would love to help come alongside you on your health goals. What are some of those? Then I'm probably going to have them take the meology assessment. So I'm not just going to send them a link right away, because if you send a link right away, they're going to go on, they're going to be like, wait, 159 or 249, which one do I have to pay? And ooh, I was in a membership with a former company before, and I don't want to be locked into that. And then all of these preconceived notions come up, versus having that conversation, explaining loyalty, explaining how our auto ship is different. So you want to do that with people more on Messenger. That's just personally what I feel works best for me. Christy, I'm curious.
I do the same. I actually have never posted my link ever in 7 years. But I think that way people will talk to you about the products or about what they're looking for, and you can help give them like the best prices, the best information. You can help gear them in the right direction, so they don't end up getting something that they don't need and then they return it and things like that. So anyways, yeah, I 100% agree with not posting your link. I know some people do to save time or things like that, but I just never have done that.
Yeah.
And somebody asked about a shake menu or recipe. I'm actually making a brand new one right now. That should be ready by the end of the week. And it's all of Shackley distributors' favorite recipes. So
That's awesome, Christy.
yeah, so that'll be fun. And of course I'll share that with everyone.
And those are simple ways too, where you can show like a sneak peek of the recipe book and that this is something that people can get when they join the Prove It Challenge. Um, you know, one thing I try to do often is, oh, not like super often, but at least every few weeks, is I show people me redeeming my loyalty points on my computer so that people can see, oh, wait, what is this that she's getting all these free products with? It's also great for customers because it opens up the door for them, or showing an unboxing of my wellness order. It really, again, it's just a behind the scenes of your everyday life, but you just take a couple minutes to pull out your phone. And I also get my kids involved. I know many of you have kids. For tax reasons, you can, for tax deductions, you can start paying your kids, which is awesome tax savings. And then you can set that aside for them. But I will tell my kids, like, hey, I need a picture taken. And it gets them involved in the business. And they're getting to be a part of this because it's a family business. And it's great for responsibility, and they learn things. They learn things like, I've had my daughter do videos for me when I'm cooking things, because it's hard to do when you're, stirring something with another phone in your hand. So find ways. Again, this is something we work around our family, but we can easily get our family involved in those things in our business, and it makes it more fun too. There's lots of things kids can do, but that's just one simple way. And they actually like, when I do a reel, they always want to watch it afterwards. They're like, I want to see this reel. They're not on social media or anything, but they just like to see
Yeah.
when I do the finished product. And I know, Christy, you had your girls do that amazing skincare video. That was super cute, and just great ways to get them involved. So
Yeah, my kids love to be involved. Like my daughter cooks dinner for us a lot because she just loves to. And whenever I post about that, post about what she's cooking or that she's cooking, and she can cook like all kinds of stuff.
wow.
Everybody's like, oh my gosh, she can cook like
Right.
that. Like cook chicken and vegetable soup. I saw pictures from it from 2 nights ago. I need to post about it. But anyways, yeah, if you can get your kids involved, people like always love that.
Yes.
Um, so that's another good thing to post about. I'm trying to think of some other really hot, popular things to talk about. Anytime I talk about my kids, like, and what they're doing, that's always like, especially when there's a story behind it, not just like, yay, my kids use sidewalk chalk today.
Mhm.
But if there's like a really cool story behind
Yeah.
something with your child, that's always popular. And it
People
also shows that you're like super relatable and things like that.
people love to give advice. So if you, like, I'm looking to buy a new car, like, tell me your like favorite SUV that your family has, or I'm picking, like, these are 4 paint colors, tell me which one you prefer, and you will get so many so much feedback. Or I need a dress picture for a wedding, like, here's 3 options, which one do you think is best? And it might seem silly, like, oh, but what does that, it, again, it's, you're starting those conversations with those people. They're then face or Instagram and Facebook like that, so then they're more likely to see that next post you do on the business or on Shackley. So all that stuff does matter.
Yes, for sure. Um, does anyone have any questions we can answer for you, or do you about social media or about anything while we're on this call real quick?
I think it's just important to stay up to date too with what's working. So we just encourage you, to right now, what's working really well on Instagram is reels. So maybe you could try, maybe Christy and I could give you a challenge that today or by the end of the week, you try your very first reel. Also, actually, I can't believe I haven't shared this yet, but one of the best tips too, for social media is try and get in the picture. So, which I'll be honest, I don't love to do that. Like, it's kind of embarrassing how many pictures I had to take with my collagen until I came up with a good one, because my face just looked funny in each one. Like, sometimes I looked a little mad. And so, but try and, like, that's going to stand out more than if I just posted collagen. So try and get in as many pictures as possible. It doesn't mean you have to be in every single one, But as moms, we're like always hiding behind the camera. Try and get in them. Like try and show your face. Like try and show yourself working, show yourself in the kitchen, show yourself, because people need to connect with you. And actually, there's been studies that even have shown if you're in a picture, people are more likely to like that picture than if you were not in that picture. So it actually works really well. And Christy, you do a great job of that. And it's like even just in your car, like simple things. What is one thing you do every day on social media, regardless of how busy your day is? That's a great question.
For me, I make sure that I have one thought out post every single day, no matter how busy I am. And when I say thought out, like sometimes it's not quite as thought out as I wish it was. But I try to have one good post every single day. That's mine. And I try to be in at least three to five posts a week, which doesn't always happen. And sometimes a lot of mine are more on stories, because they're silly or whatever. And, it's like our day to day, like just what we're doing type of stuff. But yeah, I'm with Katie. Like, did you know when I first started, I didn't even know how to take a selfie. 7 years ago, I was like, oh, the phone camera reverses. I didn't know that. Anyway, so I'm just saying I would recommend making sure you are in those pictures. I like honestly am not a big fan of doing that either, but I think it's so important. So I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, that's my tip, is to try to get a good post up every day. And when I say good, you guys, I don't mean it has to be like perfect. It doesn't have to be like you thought about it for hours or anything like that, but just something within your like interests or about the business or something like that.
Yes. That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think I would say the same thing. There's definitely some days where, I don't post something and that happens. Like, but I
Right.
try and do something at least every day, or even in my stories, some kind of poll or something to get engagement or get new. Maybe it's just even a quick recipe. Like, who wants this recipe? I already was making that recipe for my family, but I'm just taking a picture of it. Lauren did a really good, when was that? Lauren talked about a really good tips for taking really good pictures. Her pictures are always really good. So she's always taught me like get in natural light. If you're taking food pictures, she's like, don't use paper plates, like simple things that make things stand out more. And so I know just natural light or a ring light is even just going to help a little versus posting a picture where it's super dark. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but just making those little changes can really help a lot. And so just something that's going to get people interested or learning more. Maybe today it's you're posting the organization class, and just simple things like that I try to do on a daily basis. And I typically do it before my kids are awake for the day. And then I typically do it, at the end of the day as well. And so that's just kind of what works best for me. Any other questions? I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know that sometimes this can feel very overwhelming. So we just encourage you, just start with one thing. Like just start, if you haven't done stories, start with stories. If you haven't tried reels, do a reel. If you haven't had a picture with you in it in a while, get a picture with you in it. Add value, entertain, inspire. Those are the three things I always look to do. Shackley had, or the MEC had that beautiful bouquet of flowers they sent me last week. Totally impromptu picture where I was like, pulled my husband in, but yet so many people loved that. I think they loved it also too for the goal that we reached, but sometimes we have to get uncomfortable doing things, but that can inspire other people too. So you all are inspiring other people on a daily basis, and you just have to put yourself out there and get uncomfortable, and then you won't think twice about it. It'll just become part of your daily routine.
I agree.
Anything else, Christy? Anything else you want to share?
I think that's it. I just encourage you guys not to think too much about it, because that can be crippling, right? Like if you don't take action and you just think about it too much. I always say that action calms fears. So whenever you feel like anxious about something, if you take action, it'll help you get over it. Um, that's what I do still today when I feel anxious about something, whether it's public speaking or inviting or whatever. I just know if I eat the frog and do it, I'm going to feel better. And
Yeah.
so that's what I encourage you guys to do. Whatever is like your frog, whether it's inviting, posting, whatever, do it first.
Yes. And that is how, I mean, Harper and I met, but it was through her social media that made me want to learn more about Shackley. And so that I'm always reminded of the power of that, of what we have to offer other people who are looking for what you are offering them. So be confident in what you're putting out there. Of course, there's going to be people. I get people unfollow me all the time. They're not my people. They're not the right ones that I want. But you know, I can't tell you how many people have said, even we went to a family party and my uncle's like, I love watching your videos. My uncle, like, I'm like, oh, great. And so people are watching you, and, you know, we need more positive, encouraging, uplifting content. And that's what we have to offer. So more of that and less of all the other stuff that can sometimes happen on social media. So
For
thank you
sure.
guys so much. And thank you, Christy. And I will get this recording out to you guys as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining.
Take care.
Bye.